Thompson's here, all the way from Mexico.
Yeah.
And she's got a couple of her lovely daughters with her, and I don't know how they're going to participate, but it's pretty exciting. So anyway, if you don't know, this is Bethany. And she used to be, well, she still is. She's just a long distance part of the family, but she's been a part of the family probably longer than Dave, I think. I don't know, a long time, at least 15 years, we'll say, for sure. So anyway, she's going to give us an update of what's going on.
Okay.
Here she is.
Hi, welcome everyone. It's so good for me to see so many faces. Some of them I recognize, which is really awesome because we have been a part of this fellowship almost 18 years ago. So my two oldest daughters are here with me today. They were like babies, toddlers when we first started attending this church. And so it's really good for me to be here. It is only me today, which is really weird. I have never spoken without my husband. So bear with me. I'm trying to do this all alone, and usually my husband and I tag team. So this is going to be a new experience for all of us. So we're going to start a presentation hopefully here soon. There we go. So new in this past year, we have started our own Mexican nonprofit. Down there in Mexico, we can have a nonprofit it's not a US-based one, it's a Mexican-based one. And it's called La Casa de Esperanza y Amor en Jesucristo, which is a really long phrase. But when they're setting up nonprofits down there, they give you like 6 different names that you can like put on this form. And they kind of tell you to start with like your most basic one, and then you keep adding words. And when it goes to the government, they choose the first one that's not taken. So this is what we ended up with. It basically means the house of hope and love in Jesus Christ. So our ministry down there is, we have moved away from Hope Village, which was what we were doing in the past. It was a women's shelter for single moms with kids. And God has kind of opened up some new doors for us down there in Mexico. And so we're just kind of walking through them, and I'll tell you more about that. Next slide. So this is my family. We are a very large family, so it is really weird for me to be here with only 2 kids. Thank you. So we are a very unique blended family. My husband and I, we have 4 biological kids. We also adopted 2 kids from foster care while we were part of this church. And then we have 2 kids down in Mexico that we are basically raising. So we have 8 kids total that we parent, ranging in age from, let's see, Hannah just turned 11, so 11 up to 18, almost 19. So it is a house full. So yeah, that picture's a couple years old, but it's getting harder to get photos of everyone all together. Go ahead, next slide. So our first ministry is our kids. We can do all sorts of things down there in Mexico, but if we're not giving into our kids first, it's all for nothing. So we make sure that we prioritize our family first because they are important. We're going to see, we have some videos, and we're going to see if they work. They were not working before the service, but we're going to see if it works. Nope. We have a picture of Naomi's face, and it's just
hooligans in this family. Just kidding. I'm 18. I'm turning 19 in August, and I plan on attending a DTS program for 5 months.
Okay, so apparently the video part's not working, but the sound is interesting. We gotta love technical difficulties. So that is Naomi. She's our oldest. She turns 19 in August. And she just graduated from Trout Lake High School last year. The 2 oldest got the opportunity to live with my parents in Trout Lake for their senior year of high school. So it was a kind of a great way where they could experience senior year here in the States and graduate. So she just graduated. Her plans are to go to Nashville. She's doing a kind of a discipleship training school program. And so she will be doing that come August or October, I guess. Next slide.
Hello, my name is Naomi.
Oh, there we go.
Hi, my name is Shay, and I am 18 years old. One way I've seen God work in my life is that He has given me the energy to finish off school.
Okay. We're actually going to hear a little bit more from Shay at the end of my time, so you can look forward to that. Next slide.
Hi, my name is Angelica. I'm 16, turning 17 at the end of June. This year, I've seen God providing for my family financially. He has reminded me that I'm never alone and He cares about me.
Okay, obviously that's one of our Mexican daughters. So we got to hear from her. Next slide.
Hello, my name is Autumn and I am 16 years old. I will be going into my senior year of high school next school year, and I'm going to be working at a summer camp, and so I can't wait to see what God does to continue to grow my faith in Him.
Okay, so Autumn is working at Camp Jonah this summer, so she is up there right now getting ready for camp to start later today. Next slide.
Hello, my name is Becca. I am 16 years old and I will be a senior this coming school year at Trout Lake School. I have seen God using me to work in the lives of several teenage girls through English Club, inviting them to church and teaching them jiu-jitsu.
So Becca and Autumn, the one prior to her, are also going to be seniors in high school next year, so they will also be staying with my parents next year so they can have the same experience. Next slide.
Hello, my name is Moises. I'm 15 years old and I'm going to be turning 16 the 8th of August. I have been enjoying training MMA a lot, and a way I have seen God using me is I help my dad teaching English classes to other kids.
Okay, that was Moises. Next slide.
Hi, my name is Eli. I'm 13 years old and I've been enjoying playing basketball with boys my age down in Mexico.
Okay, so Eli has been doing basketball, he's been doing jiu-jitsu, he's been actually probably one of the more social of our kids down there. Next slide.
Hi, my name is Hannah and I'm 11 years old. I have a pet lizard named Rexy. A way I've seen God use me is being able to be friends with some other kids my age and spreading the word of God with them.
Okay, so those are 8 kids. We wanted them to be able to share kind of what God is doing in their lives, things that they enjoy doing down there in Mexico. Next slide. Okay, so you may ask where in Mexico we're serving. So we are on the northern Baja coast, about 4 hours south of San Diego. So you kind of go down along the Baja Peninsula on the Pacific side of the ocean, or the Pacific side of the peninsula. It's past all the touristy areas. You get into this valley where they grow lots of produce. So strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, tomatoes, cucumbers. A lot of the things that are shipped up here are grown down there. So there's an actual Driscoll's packing plant about a half a mile away from our house. And so you get people from all sorts of different parts of mainland Mexico who move over to our area to work in the fields. It's a very temperate climate, so a lot of people think, oh, Mexico is so hot. Not in our area, it's not. Northern Baja is a lot like San Diego weather. You'll get upper 60s, low 70s. You'll have a couple weeks where it gets up into the 90s. Very rarely has it broken 100 where we're at. So it's a pretty temperate place to live. Field work, it's a really convenient job for people with no education. One of the sad realities that we see down there in Mexico is that there's a lot of people that have no education. They've never gone to school at all in their lives. We have adults who don't even know how to read in Spanish. We have people who don't even really know Spanish. A lot of people think that Mexico, oh, everyone speaks Spanish. Well, no, there's a lot of indigenous tribes in Mexico. So we have a lot of people that come to our area that speak Triqui or Mixteco, and there's different dialects of both of those languages. And so there are people who come to our area and don't even really speak Spanish, don't know how to read, don't know anything about how to save money or how to find necessities that we would think are important to live off of. And so we work a lot with those types of people. The homes down there can vary widely. We got some slides up here. Go ahead and slip to the next one. So it is very, very common to see a house like this. That is a pretty common sight. People will gather plywood, they'll gather just sticks sometimes. If they're able to get plastic, they wrap it around with plastic at the top. There's no doors, no windows, no electricity, no running water. Some of them may get lucky and be able to get like a solar panel that will run one light and charge a cell phone. But that is pretty common down there. They cook over open fires or a propane gas like burner. And so all three of those photos that were on there were taken about a quarter mile from my house. So you have houses like that, and then you do have normal sized houses. We've been very blessed. This past year, God gave us the opportunity to buy a house down there under the nonprofit. Before that, we were renting houses down there, and it's really hard to find a rental house down there for a large family that has indoor plumbing. When you're looking through rentals, it was like, okay, does it have an indoor kitchen? Does it have actual bathrooms? So God has blessed us with a good house. We are not living in something like that, praise the Lord. But that is the reality that a lot of people live down there. So that is kind of the area that we're serving in. Go ahead, next slide. So what do? Well, I said that God has moved us away from the women's shelter. Part of it is because God opened the doors for us to buy a house in a different community. It's not very far from the women's shelter that we were previously running, but it was far enough that we realized that God was opening up doors for something different. So we are actually using kind of the home that God's provided us. We're teaching English classes and literacy classes. So we have a kids' English club twice a week, and we've invited kids from all over the neighborhood that come and they're learning English. Because learning English will open up so many doors for them. There's an adult English class. There are adults down there who want to learn English because if they can know English, they can qualify for work programs where they can come up to the States and work up here under a work visa, work in the orchards, work in fields, kind of the same similar work that they're doing before, but being able to do it in a better environment. But it does help if they know some English. We're also breaking cycles of illiteracy. That has been one of my biggest passions. I've recently started working with a woman, and she and her son were living in one of those little plastic houses until an American group came down and built them a simple but a solid house. My youngest son got to be part of that house build, and so we were able to connect with this family through that. But we found out in that process that this mom couldn't read. And her 10-year-old son, who she's single parenting, her 10-year-old son is in 5th grade and reads at about a kindergarten, 1st grade level. And so I asked her, I was like, do you want to learn to read? And she was like, yes, I do. And so I started inviting her to my house, and we've actually been doing reading lessons. She is one where she did not even learn Spanish until she was 16. And so, she's now, I think, 25? No, I guess upper 20s. She had her first son when she was young, but she is trying to learn how to read in Spanish. And I'm also helping her son because even though he's in 5th grade, down there, kids, they'll go in school and they're kind of just passed along whether they actually learn skills or not. So we're breaking cycles of literacy, but the main purpose in teaching English and teaching literacy is to build relationships. Because it's through building relationships that we can present the love of God to them, that we can invite them to church, that we can have a more meaningful connection with them that goes beyond just the practical skills. So we've got some photos. I'll kind of explain what's there. So that is the Kids English Club in our home. We just kind of sit everyone around this huge table that my husband built. Next slide. Most of the kids that come to our English club are coming from single mom families. So we're pouring into kids who really need to have good role models as well. Next slide. There's more kids. Next slide. So that is the mom and her son that I'm teaching to read. I've invited them over for a meal before we do our reading lesson because she basically starts work in the fields at 5 o'clock in the morning and works until, well, I think she gets home right around 5 o'clock at night. And so by the time she's done working, she's tired. I didn't want her to have to go home and worry about cooking dinner for her and her son. I was like, come on over. Like, if you're gonna spend more of your time investing in something as good as learning to read, I'm gonna feed you dinner. So we've been feeding them dinner as well. Okay, so I talked about building relationships. I want you to look at this picture right here. This is a family that we have really been investing in this past year. So we moved into our new house in November. Didn't really start the English club stuff until February. So the girl on the far left, her name is Dulce. Dulce and her siblings come from a very, very sad, broken family. They have other siblings as well, but in December, we heard from another couple of friends of ours down there that are invested in the boys, that there was an issue at the house. It's basically a mom raising all these kids in a pretty small house. I mean, it's just like a one-room thing. It is actually wood walls, but they're all cramped in this space. But the mom is in a toxic relationship with the kid's dad. And even though he is not someone who should be around kids, he a lot of times will come around and she just kind of enables his behavior. So back in December before Christmas, before we really actually connected with them, we heard a report that our friends had gone over to, I think, bring some food for this family. And when they showed up, the father was hitting the mom. When they stepped in to intervene, he pulled a knife on Dulce and was threatening her. Our friends were able to get the knife away from him, able to separate him. I don't know if the police were actually called in that time before. In times past, when police have been called, he's been picked up, taken to jail, and their mom would bail him out. Pretty sad situation. The dad doesn't even live there, but he's involved. So we were really worried about the kids' safety. They also have an older brother who is high on drugs most of the time. The mom works 7 days a week in the fields. She can't read. Spanish is her second language as well. She's kind of checked out of the kids. Like, when we see her, she doesn't even usually raise her eyes to meet our eyes. You can tell she's just surviving. And so when we started our English club, we specifically reached out to these kids, and the girls decided that they wanted to learn English. So Dulce and her younger sister Perla, who's in between the two boys, they have been coming regularly twice a week to our English club. We've been able to encourage them. We have a spare room in our house. We've told them that if anything ever happens again in the future and they feel like their safety is an issue, they can actually see our house from their house, and we told them that our door is always open. They can come, we'll let them in. They can stay there until we figure things out, but we're trying to be a safe environment for them. One of the coolest things, though, about building relationships is seeing God work. So back in March or April, we had kind of told all of the kids in our English club that if they ever wanted to go to church with us, they'd be welcome to attend with us. We have a big 15-passenger van, and we're like, you can come with us. Well, Dulce and Perla have been coming to church with us regularly since March. Dulce is asking questions. I mean, you gotta think, it's so hard when you grow up with an earthly father who is so horrible. You know, what does it mean that God is a good heavenly father? These are questions that she's wrestling with right now. And where is God when the bad things happen? So these are things that we're not being shy around those questions. We're wanting her to wrestle with those. We're wanting her to see that even though things were bad, it doesn't mean God wasn't there. God is still there. God is crying right along with everyone else. But he's still there, and he's making a way. And so we do want you to be praying specifically for Dulce and for Perla. Boys typically don't suffer the same kind of abuses that girls do. And so the two girls are the ones that we're most concerned about at this point. But it is hard being so limited. They're, unfortunately, you know, up here, the kids will be placed into foster care immediately. Down there, they don't have a foster care system. They have children's homes. And especially when you have an older girl, a lot of children's homes don't want to take in teenage girls. And so if they were to be put into kind of the government system there, most likely the kids would be separated. Dulce would probably be ended up going up to a children's home in Tijuana that's overcrowded. And it's hard to know what would be the best situation for those kids. Right now, we're just praying for safety, praying for God to open up doors, and just seeing what God does. All right, next slide. Okay, so besides doing things out of our home, doing ministry out of our home, we still have a passion for women who are leaving abusive situations. And, you know, God knew that that was going to be on our hearts. And so our new house is about a half a mile away from an emergency women's shelter. Mujeres Nuevo Comienzo is kind of woman's new beginning, is the English translation of that. It is a Christian-run emergency women's shelter for moms with kids. And we're able to go in there and continue working with women coming out of these vulnerable situations and their kids. So Gabe has been teaching in the school there. When the kids are there, they want the kids to be educated. Most of them are behind in school. So they asked him to start teaching. And so he's been teaching kids and works with that. I've been working with the moms in that program. Again, working with literacy, but also teaching English. And I will say one of my favorite times over there, I had actually found some articles in Spanish from Focus on the Family. And they had articles about parenting and activities that you could do with your kids to help build that relationship. And so we were able to read these articles, work on literacy and reading these articles, and focus on helping these moms get some parenting skills that they needed. Next slide. So these are some of the kids from that shelter, learning about shapes. And next slide. They've been learning gardening, so trying to make sure that they have some practical knowledge as well for growing vegetables. Next slide. I think they were learning parts of the body at that one in English. Next slide. Okay. So our supporters are an integral part of this ministry. One of the things that I know that I struggled with before I became a missionary is, you know, like, oh, the missionaries, they're the ones doing all that work. We can't do it without the support of people back here in the States. We're not allowed to work in Mexico for income. Our visas are not work visas. And so we are fully dependent on people who are financially supporting us, but more than that, the prayers. Being a missionary, you are always opening yourself up to spiritual warfare. And so making sure that people are praying for us is I mean, there's no other words to describe it. It's necessary. I made a video yesterday we're going to show you next, but I want you to listen to the words of the song while also viewing the photos, because all of you, you're needed. Like, the work that we're doing, you are a part of. This church supports us. If you guys support this church, you're supporting us. So I want you to listen to this song and let that touch you. Let it know that you guys are making a difference, whether you're here in the States, serving elsewhere. We can't do ministry without you guys. So go ahead and play the next video.
Are these angels singing? And someone called me. He took me saw the sun, and he was smiling as he came. And he said, "Friend, you may not know me." And he said, "Wait." Every before the class would start, one day when you said that prayer, I asked Jesus in my heart. Forgive, oh, I have changed. Thank you for giving to the Lord. I am so glad. Then another man stood before you. He said, "Remember the time these pictures made you cry. You didn't have much money, but you gave it anyway. Jesus took the gift you gave, and that's why I'm in heaven today." For giving to the Lord, I am a life that was changed. Thank you to the Lord. I am so glad you came. Far as your eyes could see, each life sung out by your generosity. That you had done, sacrifices you made, that were unnoticed on this earth, in heaven now proclaim. And I know up in heaven, you're not supposed to cry. There were tears in your eyes as Jesus took your hand and you stood before the Lord. He said, "My child, look around. Great is your life that was changed. Thank you for giving to the Lord. I am so glad you came. Thank you for giving to the Lord. That was changed. Thank you for giving to the Lord. I am so so yeah.
Okay. So, I do want to let you guys know that we are still very much involved in the past ministries that we were a part of before kind of going out on our own. In fact, one of the coolest things that has happened to us is that the orphanage, which is where we first started working when we first went down to Mexico, when we had switched over to become directors of the Hope Village Women's Shelter, because we were no longer staff at the orphanage, they really restricted how much time we could spend with some of the kids there. Right now, those doors are reopening. My husband actually got a text message from the director at the orphanage saying, hey, do you have time to meet with me? And so my husband's like, sure. And so they went over, and the director was talking about how they're realizing how integral it is for those kids to have people invested in them outside of the orphanage. And so we were actually asked to begin going back in and spending time with some of those kids that we first started building relationships with back in 2018. And so we were able to have them over to our house for dinner once. We were able to go to their house and do some crafts with them. So it sounds like doors are opening there for us to continue to be a long time presence for those kids. A lot of those girls that we're focused on there are getting close to aging out of the orphanage. And they've seen a lot of kids who have kind of aged out and not do well. And so we're really excited that God is reopening those doors. We're still in touch with the families who have been at Hope Village or who are still there. 2 of those families were able to buy property and are having houses built on their property by American groups the 2nd week of July. So they are in the final stretch of their time at that ministry. They're going to have houses built. They're going to be able to move in. The cool thing is that these 2 ladies got property right next to each other. So they're going to have their own built-in support there, and we're really, really excited about this opportunity for them. Next slide. Oh, yeah. So my goal for you guys, what we're doing is important. What you guys are doing is equally important. Not everyone is called to be a foreign missionary. We know that. But every person has a calling. Every person has a gift that they can do to share, to draw people to the kingdom of heaven. I want to read to you guys from 1 Corinthians 12, starting at verse 4. Now there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are varieties of service, but the same Lord. There are varieties of activities, but it is the same God who empowers them all and everyone. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. For to one is given through the Spirit the utterance of wisdom, and to another the utterance of knowledge according to the same Spirit. To another, faith by the same Spirit. To another, gifts of healing by the same Spirit. To another, the working of miracles. to another prophecy, to another the ability to distinguish between spirits, to another various kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. All these are empowered by one and the same Spirit, who apportions to each one individually as he wills. I love those verses because it's a reminder that my gifts are not the same as your guys' gifts. My daughter's gifts are not the same as my gifts. God has given us special gifts to use for glorifying him and his kingdom. You don't have to be a perfect Christian. There is no such thing. We all know that. But there are opportunities here in the Dalles for you guys to make a difference. Obviously, you can support our family through prayers, through finances. That's one way. I'm not going to undersell the gifts of finances. Those are needed to run a ministry. But there are other ways that you guys can serve. And I know that so many of you already serve here in the community or here in this church. And so I want to thank you. I especially want to say, as it's Father's Day, men, you have a role that so many kids are lacking, as they don't have good father figures. Us moms, we can do a lot, but it's not the same thing. The kids that come over to our house for English club, they get to see my husband interact with me. They get to see him interact with his kids. They're seeing what a godly man looks like. Try and find opportunities, men here in this congregation, find opportunities to invest in the kids in this community or in young adults. My husband would say that when he was a young adult, he had a mentor, an older Christian guy who, especially as when we were newly married and first having kids, he loved meeting with his mentor because he learned so much. And so those are important things that you men of God can do for one another. Children ministries. There's lots of children here in the Dalles, okay? Whether you're getting involved in the church or in various programs around in the community, get involved in the lives of kids. Athletics, especially for young boys, if you're able to coach or find a way to support kids who are in athletics, build those relationships. That's a way that kids can see a good male role model. Young adults, like I said, they need mentors. Stress to them how important that role is. And be involved in the community. Find ways for the church, even as a whole, to do community events or to find ways to serve, because those are all ways to build relationships. And I know firsthand, just meeting someone for the first time, you're not going to have as much of an impact. But if you can build long-term relationships, if you can pour into people, find ways to do that, you're going to have a much more impact. Okay. So I have many more things that I could share. I don't have time all day, but we are going to have time after the service. We are staying for the potluck. So you can come to me with questions, or if you want to know more about what we're doing. I've got a photo album. I think it has a lot of the same photos, honestly, that were in the video, but you're welcome to look at that. If you want to sign up for our newsletter, I try and send out newsletter updates about every 2 to 3 months. So if you're not receiving those, please let me know. We can sign you up for that. I also have, I've started an Amazon wish list for our ministry needs. One of the things that we really want to get down there are books in Spanish. Books in Spanish are super hard to come by, even in Mexico. There's no libraries down there. Kids do not have a way to access books in Spanish. And so when you're trying to teach literacy, you need to have books to read. So if you want to be signed up, I can send you the Amazon link for the wish list. It works really simple. It works like a gift registry. You access the Amazon wish list link. It tells you items that I really want for our ministry, whether it's books or office supplies. You add it to your cart. It sends it to my parents' address in Trout Lake. We're making a couple trips up and down this summer. So then we would just cart things down to Mexico our next trip down. Now I'm going to invite Shay up here. So, and then we'll wrap it up. So I'm going to do a really short interview with her because I want you to hear what her future plans are. So congratulations on your graduation. What are you most proud of over your 4 years of high school?
I think the thing I'm most proud of would probably be that I stuck with it and didn't give up.
Good. What are your future plans?
So my future plans are to go back down to Mexico with you guys and serve at the ministry. You work at the women and the kids, and I'm going to be working with toddlers and babies and then elementary kids.
So Shay's plan is she's going to come back down to Mexico with us, and she is going to volunteer full-time at the Mujeres Nuevo Comienzo, the emergency shelter. So she'll mainly be working with probably the babies and the toddlers, doing daycare type stuff down there. What are you excited about?
I'm really excited about going back down to Mexico and being with the family and starting something new.
Okay. What are you nervous about?
Probably also doing something new.
Doing something new?
Done before, but I'm really excited as well.
So, okay. Where will you be staying?
I'll be staying with my parents.
I know, like all good kids who graduate high school, I'm going to stay with mom and dad. Do you have any needs that still need to be met?
Yes, so my parents and I, we sat down, we made a goal. I need at least like 5 supporters, supporting me like I think $50 a month, because they want me to pay for some of my own groceries, phone bill, gas for cars. Since I recently got my license, I'll be driving back and forth from the women's shelter in our house, and then car insurance.
Yeah. So she is looking for people who would be willing to support her financially. If you are interested in doing that, please talk to us and we can figure out how that will work, because she is not affiliated right now with an actual sending organization. But we feel like it's important for her as an 18-year-old to start figuring out how this works, how to get supporters, how to be independent, have her own money and pay bills, because that's an important part of growing up. How can people be praying for you?
People can pray for me because I have anxiety. So I've been having a lot of anxiety about starting something new and like being more independent. So prayers to help with my anxiety would be amazing.
Yes. So, all right. Thank you, Shay. And that is all I have. So,
Any questions?
any questions?
Okay.
All right, you can close us out, I guess.
Okay. Wow. Like I said, the exciting thing is it's not like this is some remote ministry that you don't know. These are people that have come to our church for years. And so, I mean, if you want to know what's going on, you can actually talk to them. And, you know, just hearing how God is working in the community they're at and moving them on to new things, and how even the community sees what an asset they are, right? I mean, it's just, I think it's how it's supposed to work, I guess is what I'm getting at. So be sure and touch base with them afterward. We've got the potluck going on, and I think they'd be receptive to having people talk and ask questions.